Well, here we are again on another log. Diary of the Griever named John Weaver and everything else going along with it. I need to get this off my chest. Because at this point, I am trying to find an explanation for something that just kind of hit me. Not exactly suddenly, but it did hit me. Right now, it's still 5:33 p.m., and it is still January 23rd, 2023. While watching the show for the umpteenth time, the series of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I fell in love with when it came out. It wasn't exactly like Gene Roddenberry's futuristic thing where we go out there in space and explore space, but also have battles. Well, we do have battles out in space in Deep Space Nine. We also explore humanity on many levels. What it is to be alive, what it is to be a life form, dealing with the other life forms of the universe, dealing with culture clashes, dealing with cultural differences, learning, trying to exist, if not coexist with each other. You know, how miscommunications happen and everything else goes hell in a handbasket, or someone else's ego running amok. Roddenberry tried to cover all this stuff, but, some of the other purists didn't like Star Trek Deep Space Nine because it wasn't a starship going out to explore the universe. No, you have a space station in the middle of the universe, and everybody comes to it. And then some of the people on the space station go out, and they come back. And there's all this intermingling. So when it came out, it was driving the Star Trek fans crazy. The first two shows of it, two-part Emissary, was exploring the characters for the first time. But what they were also exploring things that I keep learning on a constant basis. You see, you can only watch the show maybe once or twice, you think you get it, but then you keep watching it and it comes out in different realizations, things that you're not aware of that you learn. You are educated. Much like people watching the original series and the Next Generation are also trying to gather what was being written and what people actually do go through in one form or another, just demonstrated in different formats for us to understand. The reason why a lot of people try to get to science fiction because they're relating to them on a human level. I hate to say it, but it's a human level for us. And the level I'm looking at this point is trying to figure out what all this means for me. Deep Space Nine was bringing it all to me. And the first two episodes was dealing with grief and mourning. Not just introducing the characters, but you're introducing a parent, a husband, a griever, thrusted into the universe. Tragedy already hit his family, and he's trying to fight his way through the grieving process by burying himself alive, putting the moleskin on to deal and cope with everybody else. Keep the facade running. Fake it until you make it, as they called it. But when you couldn't make it and you couldn't fake it, you're just downright miserable and depressed as hell. I did it for a long while. And I still got broken. And I'm still trying to rebuild myself one way or another. And this is what Cisco was trying to tell me and teach me in one way. Give me 1 second, I got a pot boiling. Well, I know it's been over 20, 25 years since we've had this show on the air. I mean, it was on in the 90s. It came out. 97, I think. At least I think so. It did come out in the late 90s. And it was important for us to watch. Because this show was teaching us a whole hell of a lot. Next Generation came out, only lasted for 7 seasons. So, about 94 it canceled out. Hang on a second. I'm just trying to get Google on here so I can get this going here. All right. 7 seasons, started from 1993 and stayed on until 2000. By that time, Star Trek Voyager had already been going for maybe about 1 or 2 seasons during that time, and would have also done 7 seasons as well. So basically, when that 93 came around, we're watching this show. We're observing it. We're getting into it. And it was a hell of a series for me to watch when it came out. And I went to a Star Trek convention and got me a pin earlier on. Back in 92, I think. Still have it. I did understand back then some of the concepts that I was seeing in the character developments. Leaving one post for another place, you're losing a family to another that you'll be making, and creating one, and possibly losing someone else in the series history that meant a damn thing to you. Or having a commanding officer dealing with a hell of a lot of grief because he lost his love. He lost part of his heart, his soul. It's like, now I understand the pain that Sisko walked through. Because after losing a lot of important people, including within the past decade, of my mother, a best friend and surrogate mother, a favorite dog, and lastly, my big brother. 4 major hits. 4 major hits. And it still hurts to this day. Next month will be 10 years for Ma. This coming September will be 5 years for David. The pictures are over here. Losing them was losing part of my soul. And I'm still trying to reclaim it back. I'm still trying to build it back up again. Because it still hurts. It still aches. And I still have to live. I still have to continue on. I have to keep putting up the facade and the veneer, the studio front, to people to show what the front side looks like all the damn time without showing them the rotting wood that's still in need of major repair. And seeing Sisko's character trying to be the emotional support to his son, who also lost his mother at a young age. It's like I'm relating more and more to this than anything else. Because losing people important to our linear existence here. In the series, he was trying to explain to these wormhole aliens in the second part of the show. When it was out, they just ran it on for one night and then another night, and then continued on every week. You were hooked on it after seeing the first pilot episode. But afterwards, they put the pilot either in a 2-parter or just separate when it came down for DVD and Blu-rays. On streaming, it's 1 part. Continuous. That's how it's been edited. Seeing the construction of it's one thing. But the emotional impact of it. The things that kept moving past because it was still hurting too damn much. When I'd gotten the DVD, the set of it, decades later, and I was trying to watch it, I didn't hear any of the conversations between any of the production staff or anybody else. I wanted to watch the show again. But it didn't resonate till I actually started watching what Sisko was actually going through. And when I started watching that again, watching it for the first time a long time ago, was a hell of a lot different because I didn't lose anybody. That was really important to me. Maybe animals and pets. I lost a grandmother back in the 80s. That still hurt like hell. But afterwards, the mole skin was still in there. And I wasn't feeling that much pain on anything. Just trying to live and survive life. The veneer and the facade had to continue further. I didn't think about the support bracings behind. It's like going over to the Universal Studios Hollywood back in the 80s and 90s. Actually, from the 70s all the way through nearly the mid 90s when he still had the collapsing bridge. I always keep showing the same damn thing over and over again. And they probably had to replace the wood so many damn times because the original already been rotted out. It was from an old $6 million man bionic woman thing going on. That particular set. You kept going on the bridge, the thing collapsed, built it back up again after you got off the bridge, and it continued on for another tram. Just tram gets on there, they move off, thing goes, and then that tram, same process. But the wood was still rotting away. You can only maintain the facade so long until the wood rots away, and then you have to replace it. How do you replace a broken heart like that? There's only so much moleskin and duct tape, chewing gum, baling wire, and God knows what else you can put it together with. Crazy glue. Only so much you could do. But you have to keep up the veneer. You have to keep up the pretense. You have to keep up the show. That's what I had to do. And sometimes when I put myself in that kind of into a pronoun situation, in that kind of point of view, I know sounds like I'm pointing it over to whoever watches this thing, and maybe I'm right or maybe I'm wrong, but I also know it's me as well. Sometimes it helps me focus, but sometimes it is what it is. How would I explain to a wormhole alien or to an alien who never experienced linear time before? To an energy being that has been outside the concept of human time or whatever, our viewpoint, our beliefs, our learned understanding of what time is all about, we accept things as linear. Everything else has consequences. A quantum realm of the infinite. We're just plodding along. That's all we're doing. Well, things go on around us. Maybe one reality will intersect with ours. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But realizations of what loss is like. It's the hardest damn thing for a human being or any animal creature can deal with. Even plants, I guess. Cisco had to learn it's not that easy for a person to keep mourning for all his life. It's non-linear. We exist where we are existing right now in our pain and our memories. People want us to keep going forward. But we have to understand that we're still carrying that existence with us all the time. We exist in two different points of time. We exist in the present, but we also exist in the past. The pain that we remembered our lost loved ones in. The final days, if we were there. More prevalent and more hurtful than anything else. We are dragging them with us a long time. Because we're not able and unwilling. We're not ready to let go of it. times we let it define who we are at that point in time when we lost our loved ones, the ones that really made a difference in our life. The people, the very special people that we had put a lot of attention to, a lot of appreciation, a deep understanding of this person, something of a deep connection that we made. And then we mourn when they're gone. Not just physically moving on from one location to another location, geographically, but we're talking about the biological ends and whatever kind of state of being that they are after that is left away from our plane of existence and our awareness that our own senses cannot detect. We think, we feel that they're still around us. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. I would go with the squishy brain, whatever the senses the organs are trying to detect at this point over here, or but feelings I have. And that's what we're depending upon is the feelings, but we don't have the physical evidence to prove it, to back it up. And because of that, we carry that existence with us. The pain, the loss, the grief, the memories. And we still allow that to define who we are at that moment. That carries us forward. I know it's been carrying me forward for a hell of a long while. But I try to ignore the damn thing as I'm trying to get through life. Until the last 10 years when I lost the 4 precious things at this point. And what scares the hell out of me is losing the last one. After that, I don't know where the hell I'm going to be at that point. What I'm going to be doing. What are the future consequences? It scares me. I wake up in the morning on some days and I'm terrified that I'll lose the very precious thing that's still holding me together right now. Despite all the other people around me who try to convince me otherwise. Well, my existence right now is solely focusing on one particular pet right now, who is the sole survivor in my family, in my immediate core family. After that, I don't know. That's what I'm afraid of. That's what I fear. That's where I'm existing at. These aliens keep trying to tell Cisco, this is where you're existing right now in the ship that's already seen the death of his wife. The commander's looking over at the scene because in the reality he was in that time period, he had seen the death of his wife. Just a corpse, buried in the midst of burning wreckage. Burning wreckage of his past, of a life that he had. His son is still alive. The continuation. I should have kept him going at that point. And that's what forced him to continue to do. But part of him was still there. For a long while, I didn't get this. Every time I kept seeing the show, either in repeat or on DVD somehow, I didn't get it until the last 10 years when I was losing people left and right. And after I lost my brother in 2018 and I started watching this series all over again, just to pass the time, it was starting to chime. And then tonight it's like, ding-a-ling-a-ling. I had to say it myself. I exist in many places, including here. What hurt me the most is when I was seeing my mother in the hospital bed. But I also seen her in the regular bed before the fire department got to her. On February 1st, her life should have been terminated, and that was it. It was the job of the fire department to save lives. And they saved her for 19 days. After that, she was no longer part of the earth. And during that time, my brother and I still had to come up with the realization that she was going to die, regardless of whatever happened. And we just couldn't accept that. Our life, our existence was wrapped around her, our mother. When she died, it changed us a great deal. Changed me a great deal. There was a hell of a lot of fear and a hell of a lot of anger we still had. Because there was a hell of a lot of pain, a lot of grief, and a lot of tearing our existence apart because we existed both in that final moment of Ma's death and in our own mortal existence in the period of time we were living in. What shall I say, existing in? And it's the same damn way I'm still facing right now as it is. So constantly acknowledging this all the time, one would think that maybe I just get it and just move on. Maybe. I'm still holding on to the memories because those are the only things I got left besides pictures, besides voices. If I had Ma's voice, I'd play it over and over and over again. My brother's voice I got saved and video somewhere. Pictures galore. They keep me remembering who these people were and how important they were in my life. Not to mention the pets I had. And it was hard as hell seeing my mother the way she was. It almost seems like it was yesterday. Maybe in a corporeal sense or a non-corporeal sense, it could have been yesterday. Because it's still fresh, it still hurts, and it's still hard to say, including remembering my brother's last day. Yeah, I exist in those places. As I'm sitting here in this chair, looking at a computer monitor, probably looking away from it, just not directly at the. It still hurts. It still hurts like a son of a bitch. Watching the show of Deep Space Nine, different people dying off left and right. You get to care for the characters so much. You deal with their adventures as they are written, and you form a bond with them. No wonder the actors and actresses, or actually the actors that call themselves, both male and female, and others, trying to portray their alter egos. No wonder we relate more than one way. I was crying because I understood what it liked to lose somebody. To constantly replay that over and over again in the head. To go through the pains, to go through the emotions. Yeah, some days are like that. I wake up in the morning and I have to deal with it. I have to acknowledge it. I have to go through the damn thing. I don't want to, but I have to. What else am I supposed to do? What can I do? Can't just ignore it. But I know I have to get past it one way or another. Some people think that grief is going to be a constant companion and we should just get on with life and still smile. Grief is, to me, is the constant pain. It's the constant agony. I still have to make new moleskin to keep covering it up one way or another. And one portion of the other until maybe I'm able to get on with life without feeling the pain, without being triggered as much, and try to live, if not survive. That's what I've been doing for the past 10 years, is survival. Grief is hard. There are lessons that we're taught one way or another. If we just only paid attention to what the hell was going on around us, maybe we'd understand it better. We understand how it changes everybody more in one way than we realize.